Good morning, Ugly Mug marketing followers and friends. It's another edition of Coffee Chats today. We are excited to be back with those of you on YouTube and on Facebook. For LinkedIn folks, this is our first coffee chat that's streaming live on LinkedIn, which is kind of exciting, kind of fun to hang out with our friends that are over there. For those of you who don't know us, I am Hannah Balliet. I am the Director of Communications here at Ugly Mug Marketing. And today I am chatting with our SEO manager, Maura, who is going to be giving us all kinds of great information. But y'all, I'm going to ask the dumb questions today. Okay. let me take care of that. Okay. We're going to be talking about PPC, pay-per-click ads. You've maybe heard of this. You have 100% seen it before, right? And so Maura is going to walk us through those basics. Like I said, I'm going to ask lots of questions. We're going to get into some examples. And I just really want this to be a fun, informative conversation. Y'all, if you have questions, please feel free to drop those in the comments on any of the platforms. I have a little fun filter here through StreamYard so I can see as those questions are coming through. And if I feel like we need to take a pause and answer one of those questions at any given moment, we will definitely do that. If you're watching this after the fact too, you're like, hey, I'm not watching this live. Good morning does not apply to me, Hannah. That's okay. Drop your questions in the comments still. And Maura and I will go through and answer those after.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, Maura, how's it going?
Hello. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I've got my coffee here. Maura, did you bring coffee?
I did not. I brought water.
Okay. Fine, Maura.
I didn't even bring the coffee mug this time. I was just like, you know what? We're just going to go all the way.
Yes. Well, today, y'all, I am drinking a delicious vanilla oat. No, this isn't a vanilla oat latte. This is called the Taj Mahal. Y'all, if you live in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where I'm coming to you live from, and you want a great latte, that's something that's kind of different, the Taj Mahal at 42 in Lawrence, downtown Raleigh, you will not be disappointed. That is what I'm drinking. Okay, Mara's drinking water, so clearly she missed the coffee chats memo. But that's okay, because we know not everybody is a coffee drinker. But for those of you who are drinking coffee, tea, whatever, tell us what you're sipping on this morning if you're joining us live in the comments. But Maura, let's dive into things. We've got 25 more minutes. Mm-hmm. I've already rambled so much. Tell us, what is PPC? What does it mean? What does that stand for? And I mean, I'll ask you this once you get done giving us the lowdown on what it is, but who is this for too? Yeah. That's another one of my questions.
Perfect. Well, you kind of already mentioned what it is as far as the definition. So the definition is pay per click advertising. So if you break that down, you are literally paying every time someone clicks on your ad. It is used in search engines. So Google is the #1 search engine. That's what people use most. It is an advertisement that can come up in a variety of different forms. So it could be a picture, it could be a shop ad, it could be just text with connected to a link. Okay. There are lots of different forms where the ad could come up, but essentially what it is you are pushing your name, your website to the very top of the list on Google searches, so that when people are looking for a specific item that is connected to your company, you'll show up and they can find your website quickly.
Okay. Amazing.
So that's a brief overview.
Yeah. Love that. So last week we talked about SEO, right? Some folks maybe didn't join us for that. So tell us just briefly, what the difference is between PPC and SEO, because a lot of times those terms get used interchangeably. And I know that they are very different, right?
Yes. So PPC, like we just said, is pay per click. So that is the type of advertising where you're paying every single time someone clicks on your website link. SEO, that's search engine optimization. That's organic. So what you're doing is you're building a foundation so your website link shows up higher in search results. You don't pay per click. every time someone clicks on your website. Now you're
Okay.
paying for the service if you have someone doing it for you,
Yeah.
but one is organic searches and one is paid advertising.
Okay. Cool. So who might benefit from pay-per-click ads? Like what kinds of companies, businesses, organizations do you find have the best success with pay-per-click advertisements?
Yeah, so anyone who needs a result quickly. Um,
Okay.
and that honestly could be any type of company, but more specifically, you see it in the service industries, people who have an online store. So you're selling products online, you're trying to get people to sign up online, those types of industries. So that's your plumbing, your
Yeah.
HVAC, counseling, apartments, like renting out apartments. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and any kind of e-commerce store for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going on Google. So I know we don't have like a screenshot too, but I know your email yesterday. We
Yes.
threw a screenshot in there. So it's basically like, hey, I'm having a HVAC emergency. My air conditioning is not working. I'm jumping on Google and I'm searching like HVAC company, Raleigh, North Carolina. There's
Yeah.
going to be a bunch of different options probably at the top. How do I know
Mhm.
which one's a PPC or option versus just organically showing up on that first page via SEO options?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your PPC ads are any of the ones that say sponsored or ad next to them.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
usually it's the top 5, 4 to 5 that are
Yeah.
all sponsored or PPC ads.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I know sometimes I always click on those top ones, but I'm like, wait, is this person paying to be here at the top? Or is this actually the best one or the one that's closest to me? I don't
Yep.
know what I'm looking for.
And
So cool.
honestly, that's a good segue if we were talking about SEO and PPC and how to decide for your company. That's a good thing because that thought process that you just had, you said, are people paying to be here? Are they even the
Yeah.
right people for me? Most people consider organic, so that's the SEO side of things, to be of higher quality as far as to fit me and what I would need instead of someone who's just paying for it. Um,
Gotcha.
but Google did start a local services ad thing, which is kind of related to PPC, but not really,
Yeah.
where you can get Google guaranteed or Google certified. Um, and so that
Okay.
adds like an extra green check mark, and you do pay for those. So that's why it kind of fits into PPC. um,
Yeah. And you
but
know what?
you're,
That's so
mhm,
funny because I noticed that and I was going to ask you about that too the other day when I was searching because I was trying to find an example to like take a screenshot of too. I
yeah.
like noticed and I was like, wait, like I searched like HVAC company in
Mhm.
Alexandria, Louisiana, and I saw one of our clients actually that we work with on social media pop up, and I was like, oh, wait, what is this like extra layer of like, yeah, like this Google
Yeah.
check mark and it's like Google approved or Google certified
Mhm.
or whatever. And so I didn't know what that was. So that's for
Yeah.
the local service, the
Yes, local
LSA.
service
Yep.
ads.
Okay.
So that could be a whole nother coffee chat if we want to, if people are interested enough, we could definitely talk
Totally.
about that. Um, but that is one thing that you do have to overcome with PPC ads is most people think, oh, you're just paying for the spot. So that's
Mm,
where the content that you use in your ads is incredibly important. And one thing with PPC ads compared to organic SEO is you can customize the audience
okay.
a whole lot. So with PPC advertising, you choose where it's being seen, the keyword, and you can kind of choose who gets to see it too. So
Nice.
that's helpful with when you're deciding, okay, what do I need to say?
Yeah. Because you want to make sure that you're speaking directly to
Mhm.
that specific person, that particular audience, that avatar, like all
Yeah.
of those same things that apply in general marketing, obviously
Right.
apply for your PPC advertising as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is this like why is this important for those like service-based businesses, those people that have e-commerce stores, those people that are trying to get someone to go to their website, fill out the form? Like, why is PPC important?
Yeah. The first thing that jumps into my mind with this is ROI. So you can track how much money you are spending per lead that you get back in.
Mm,
And that's incredibly important for service industries, for e-commerce, for honestly anything that I just mentioned previously, because you
yeah.
need to track, okay, I know a client costs this much money or gets us this much money. How much money am I willing to spend in order to get that client? So
Yeah.
that's an incredible benefit of PPC is you get to track all of that data. You see it all and you can make the connection between how much money you spend and how many clients you get.
Yes, and that is honestly, I feel like whenever we start working with a new client at Ugly Mug, I feel like that is a constant battle that they've been having no matter what they've been doing in their marketing strategy, whether they've been playing around with PPC ads on social. They really struggle to like, hey, like I under bridge that gap, right? Between, hey, I've invested these resources, like my hard-earned money, like, hey, I've been throwing like, hundreds or thousands of dollars at this thing, and
Mhm.
I'm not really seeing fruitfulness on the other side. I'm not seeing a return on my investment. And
Yeah.
so I think for the it sounds like a major benefit is just like obviously that trackability, like being able to
Yeah.
say, okay, I spent $100 on, PPC ads, and that resulted in 3 new leads for my HVAC company or for my roofing company or, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And, from that, like now I know how to scale too, right? Because I'd imagine like you probably start with like some sort of like preliminary budget and then you can kind of adjust from there, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And depending on what you set up as your conversions, that also changes how you scale. Um,
Okay.
so getting leads for plumbing, HVAC, roofers, contractors, that type is going to be way more competitive than your random SEO or not SEO, e-commerce. That's what I was. Your
Yeah.
random store online. Depending on what you're selling, your competitive nature of the plumbing and HVAC world is going to cost you more money. So you have to be very intentional with the conversions that you want to see and that you're tracking. So you're
Yeah.
not wasting any of that.
So, what are some of the different conversions that you can track?
Yes.
So, or that you can like, I guess, objectives that you can select
hmm
for your ads. So, like new leads is one. What else could you
hmm
set up your ads for?
Yeah. So those new leads could come in a variety of different things. So if you have a form
Okay.
specific on your website that you want completed, you could do form completions, you could do phone calls, you could do link clicks. So it really depends on what you're looking for, but the more qualified lead that you want, that's going to
Mhm.
be if you have a specific form, getting that filled out. It could be a checkout button if you're an e-commerce store.
Yeah.
Um, taking those actions is what you want to track.
Okay. Okay, cool. So, very dependent on like
Mhm.
what industry you're in and
Yes.
what you're selling and how you're selling it on your website. Got it.
And how your website is set up too.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So, if someone was no, I'm gonna come back to that question. I'm gonna come back to that question later. So if if you're if you're a business owner, entrepreneur watching this, and you're like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm thinking about hiring someone to do PPC for me. Maybe I've tried it before, or I went in there and I was immediately confused and have
Mhm.
zero time to invest like a learning how to do this, but b monitoring all these like different ads and audiences and everything.
Yes.
Like, what should I be looking for in someone? Because I will also say this, let the haters come in the comments. But like so often, I feel like I see people, they're like, oh, my friend can do this, or oh,
Mhm.
my niece or my cousin or whatever, and they're going to do it for like $5. Right? Like they know enough to be dangerous, like they're helping me out, and sometimes that's just like what our budget allows for, right? Like
Right.
we have to be scrappy sometimes as business owners, as entrepreneurs, like with whatever we got. I totally hear that is sometimes the situation. But like if we want to see true results, we do need to hire somebody who's like a legitimate expert. So whether that's someone us at Ugly Mug or someone else, what should I be asking that person? Like, what are some key things? Because I'm like, I don't know anything about PPC. Like, I don't, right? So how do I even know what I should be asking this person? What are those questions? What are red flags? Maybe like if someone's like, hey, I can handle this for you. And you're like, like,
not sure.
Not sure about you. Maybe go on and like interview a few other people. What are those questions we should be asking?
Yeah. So the questions and the red flags are slightly different. So I'll split those. But one thing is, how do you measure success? And if they say anything besides what your goals are for your website, maybe that could be something you could talk about or discuss to move somewhere else. Because if you want a specific conversion and they're tracking or measuring and only sharing with you clicks, impressions, the vanity metrics.
Vanity metrics, yes. Things that like look pretty and are impressive, but actually aren't showing you that return on investment.
Exactly. One of the things that I say in every single one of my kickoff meetings with PPC or SEO clients is, I'm going to be sharing with you these results, whether they're good or they're bad. Because with PPC, you see weekly changes. Like the changes that are happening with PPC are fast. So one week you could have an increase of 10% on conversions, and the next week you could have a decrease of 5%. You will see all of those numbers.
Yeah.
So the authenticity of reporting and making sure that you get to see everything that's going on is something that
they're
needs
actually
to be
being transparent with you.
Yes.
Yes. Because so often too, you'll see exactly that with the vanity metrics. Like, oh my gosh, we like have this many impressions. And like as a business owner, you might be like, I don't know what the heck an impression is. Like, I have no, like, there are no benchmarks too, right? Like, if you're someone who's like going into PPC or going into SEO, or really any sort of form of digital marketing, and you are getting some report and you're like, they're telling me this is good, but I have no idea what is actually a good relative number for this. And so I feel like maybe that's like a little added thing, like to add to that is to just be like, hey, are there some benchmarks? Like, what should I be at? Like, you're saying this is good, but where are other companies at in relation to this? Maybe that are in my industry or like industry adjacent, you know?
And with that one, you do have to be careful because what you're spending on ad spend could be different from a different company's budget. So it's hard to think through all of those. And that's why the transparency and the authenticity is incredibly important, because you need to be able to talk through that and say, okay, if I was spending another $50 per day, how would that work versus what I'm doing right now? And is that return on investment worth it?
Okay. Other red flags or questions we should be asking an agency or professional if we're going to hire someone to handle PPC?
Yeah, if they don't have a plan for bid strategy, and I know these are just random words for anyone who doesn't know for sure, check out the PDF that Hannah's going to send y'all. But if they don't know or they don't have a plan in place for bid strategy for your keywords, that's a red flag.
Yeah, Maura, you just mentioned this free PDF. I just dropped this in the comment section, y'all. So if you click on the link that I just dropped down there, this is 7 essential questions to supercharge your PPC team selection. So these are questions that you should be asking.
Yes.
Like I said, y'all, it's hard. You don't know what, guys, real life. I went and toured a daycare a few months ago to send my daughter to. thank the Lord that my sister-in-law was in town, because she asked about 50 million questions that I would have never even known to ask, because guess what? This is my first child. I have no idea what kind of questions to ask a daycare facility. Okay, I was just going to show up, do my little tour, and
Look around.
if the vibes felt right, y'all, we were going to go with this daycare. But she asked so many questions because she's a mom of 2 kiddos. She knows how this all works. She knows the questions to ask. So think of this as like your guide if you're touring a daycare, okay? These are the questions that you should be asking, okay? This is like so helpful. And so if you click on that link, all you have to do is give us your first name, your last name, and your email address, and click on that little download PDF button, and then it will bring you to the PDF with all of these questions. Super helpful. Thank you, Maura, for putting that together, because
of course. And
you don't know what you don't know.
It's 7 of them. There are a multitude of other questions that you could ask. So if you have any questions and you're like, should I ask this question? Shoot me a message. Let me know. We're here for you.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Maura. So we talked about who PPC is for, like what exactly it is, how it differs from SEO. We talked about questions we should be asking PPC professionals or alleged professionals, maybe some red flags we should be looking for when we are hiring someone. And we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but like what kind of results can we expect if we start running pay-per-click ads? Like what should I expect to see on this report, whether that's numbers wise or like actual metrics? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so you should be seeing a lot of different numbers. You should be getting, we talked about clicks and impressions, and you will see those on a good report, because that is like your lead metrics to get to the conversions. So you will see that information. You'll see costs, so how much you're spending on ads. You'll see conversions. You'll see cost per conversion, so that divides how much you spent per the conversion. And then you'll see that broken down through each individual campaign. Okay. So you'll see those numbers duplicated or split for each different campaign that you have running.
Okay.
The important one that you want to focus on is conversions, because that is going to be the change for you.
Yeah. And that's where you're going to be able to really tell, like, am I getting a positive return on investment? Like if I had 0 conversions, I might be a little stressed, right? Like I definitely am not seeing any return on this investment yet.
Correct.
So, okay. So I'm going to see like campaign, and then I'm going to see how many clicks were associated with that particular campaign. How many impressions, and impressions is the total amount of times that the ad was seen overall. For those of you who are watching, because I know sometimes like we give people reports and they're like, ooh, yeah, like 100,000 impressions. And I'm like, okay, but like, here's what that actually means. That means like maybe Maura saw the ad, 10 times. Yeah, 15 times, but maybe I only saw it 10 times. So then that's 25 total impressions. Or maybe just a bunch of people only saw it one time. It could be any of those things. So that is impressions. And then, conversions. All right. So can you give me some examples of maybe some clients that we're currently working with, and the kinds of results that they're seeing, and how pay-per-click ads have impacted their business?
Yeah, definitely. So I have 2 different clients in front of me. And again, I printed them out, so I tell you the right numbers. But one of them had been running PPC ads prior to us. So they already have their own account. They already had everything set up with a different company. But one important thing that they didn't have was conversion tracking. So conversion tracking was not connected from their ads account to their website. So yes, they were getting phone calls, and they could tell they were getting phone calls from people who found them on Google because they asked, but there was no actual track that said, this person did this from this ad. So I do want to, if you are running PPC ads right now, just make sure you have conversion tracking set up because that's very important.
Yeah. Super important.
Yes.
I'm like, who are they working
You're
with
like,
before? Red flag.
yes, red flag for sure. But okay, so this one is North Boulder Counseling. They're from Boulder, Colorado.
Cool.
And they are running about 5 different main ads. And
All
out
right.
of their 5 ads, the goals, conversions that they have are phone calls,
Okay.
emails, and form submissions.
All
So
right.
those are very tangible. Hey, this person called from this link, this person emailed from this link, this person completed this form. And
Mm.
so month over month, when we first started with them, they were getting about 2 to 3 conversions.
Okay.
Last month, they got 18. So
Nice.
big jump.
Totally.
Their conversion rate, so that's the percentage of conversion per clicks or
Yeah.
impressions,
Yep.
went up. This is a big number, but it's a small number. So I'm going to clarify.
Yeah.
Went up 435%.
Okay. Big number. Tell me
Big
what that
number.
means.
But to clarify, their conversion rate was only tracked at 0.4% prior.
Oh, because it was lacking that connection.
Mhm. Yep.
Mm.
So
Okay.
now that it's being tracked, it's up to 2.5%, which is not great. It needs to be much higher, but
Yeah.
that's the importance of tracking versus not tracking.
Yeah.
So that is North Boulder. They're a counseling agency in Colorado. So they're looking for search terms related to couples counseling or children's
Mm.
therapy, stuff like that.
Yep.
But it can also be used for, like, another one of our clients is an apartment complex in Shreveport,
Yep.
and they are searching, or they want to be found for people who are searching for places to stay.
Yes.
So apartments in Shreveport, Louisiana is one of their keywords that they
Yep.
pop up for. And their conversions, so week over week, like I mentioned before, you get weekly reports, or you should know what's going
Mhm.
on a weekly basis. So
Yeah.
their conversions went from 58 last week to 84 this week. So
Wow.
big jumps in per week. And this is actually their slow time of the year. So being able to still see that increase is a really good thing.
So what are they tracking as far as conversions go?
Yeah. And see, that's the tricky part. I mentioned earlier that it depends on your website and how it's set up.
Yeah.
They have an application button. And
Okay.
then when you click that button, it takes you to a form. That form is a third-party site. So they have
Mm.
somebody else who works with that.
Yeah.
And they weren't didn't allow us. Not sure how that quite worked. But
Yeah.
we were not able to put a tracking script on there. So that's a piece of code that you put on the thank you page.
So we're
And
tracking people that hit
mhm,
that initial button though.
correct.
Okay.
So then what he takes from our information is we say, hey, we had 84 people who clicked the apply now button. How many applications did you get from that? And so
Okay.
the communication between myself and him is walking through, okay, this is what we tracked. What is
Yeah.
the real numbers?
Yeah.
So it depends on how you're tracking things
Yeah.
and what your website setup is like. So that's why I gave you 2 very different scenarios here.
Yes.
But it's helpful to have that communication with whoever is working on your PPC, because I could very easily just say, hey, you got 84 conversions last week. Leave it at that.
Yeah. Cause it feels like the other stuff is out of your control, and it
Right.
would be easier to just like not take responsibility for that, or to just
Mhm.
like ignore it. Like, we did what we can do and like that's it. But actually taking that extra step to like make sure that the client is seeing the results that they
And
actually want to see.
even clarifying with them, even speaking and saying, this is 84 conversions, which means 84 people clicked on this button. So just making sure it's crystal clear every single time and saying, hey, just a reminder, this is clicks on this button, so that they
Yeah.
know it's not completions of it.
Yes.
And that's where that information from them comes in handy.
Yeah. And I feel like it's important too for companies that are wanting to run PPC ads, then for if they're using different people, they're for different parts of their marketing strategy, for those people to have good communication too, right? So that we can kind of work together. If there is, the possibility to have that full tracking set up, and I just think that's important. Like overall, like we work with a lot of clients who might use different vendors for different types of things, even things that we don't offer, but they want to make sure that we're all we're seeing the same big picture, right? We're all a part, playing our part in the strategy, to make them money, right? So to get new people into these apartments, to find renters, to find qualified renters at that, or to find new customers for our plumbing or our HVAC business. Like, at the end of the day, when you invest your money into any form of marketing, you want to see a return on that investment. Like you want to see money in the bank. You want to see a multiple of what you have already put into it. And I think it's true. And to your point of the transparency, like it's true that it takes time to build. Like you're not going to see, nothing is going to be red flag in any marketing. If somebody says like month 1, I'm going to make you $1 million or whatever, they're lying to you. Like like all of these things take time to build, and I don't know if, because it probably varies on budget, but like, is there a timeline? Like, in month 1, you should about be seeing this, or month 2 or month 3. Like, is that kind of a trajectory for PPC, or like, is it hard to outline that?
It definitely depends on how much you're spending. So I don't want to put numbers to it.
Yeah.
But month 1 is laying out the ads, figuring out what needs to be run, what keywords are working, that type of thing. Month 2, so month 1 and 2, you're watching all of that information, making changes, adjusting. So end of month, you should be seeing results. So that's data immediately. That's the great thing about PPC. Increase in those results, you should be seeing probably by the end of month 2.
Okay.
And that's based on changing or adjusting the ads.
Yes. And that's super important too, because, if you're trying to do this on your own, like the management of it, like we always say this in our office, like we don't set it and forget it. Like we don't with anything, because you have to constantly be watching and monitoring and making those adjustments and pivoting as needed, so that you can maximize your budget and actually work towards getting the results that you want faster too.
And you're competing for those top spots. You're competing for those paid positions. So who are you competing against? People who are also adjusting and changing and adding more money to their budget and all of that type of thing, so that they can beat you. So it has to be a continual thing that you're working on.
Yeah. I do have one more question. I know we're going a little bit over our time here in the 30 minutes, y'all. But my last question is like, what's a good, and again, I know this varies so much just based on industry and like keywords that you might be competing, how competitive it is. But like, what's like a minimum budget, like ad spend? PPC, like, is that?
So you said
that might be a hard question.
It is a hard question because it's different for everybody. But one that you mentioned earlier, you mentioned something about spending $100 for plumbing, HVAC.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, $100 will probably not get you a lot in plumbing and HVAC.
Okay.
That is an extremely competitive world.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the only time, me personally, I'm looking for a plumber is when something goes wrong. And so in that circumstance, you're worth more as a client because it's an emergency. So the competitive nature of that world is very, very, very high. Cost per conversion, I can give you some of those data for just to show you difference. So for
Yeah.
like the apartment complex, that's around $3 to $7, $8 per conversion.
Okay.
Whereas the counseling agency, that's somewhere between 30 and 80
Okay.
per conversion. So right there, you can see the different levels of who's coming through and how much it's costing.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Was just curious. Like,
It
and I'd
is.
imagine too, like based on the city that you're
Yes.
into,
Oh, yes.
like major competitive, like, if you're in Dallas, if you're in Raleigh, like bigger, larger cities,
Yes. Yes.
compared to somewhere that's maybe a little bit more rural, like,
Mhm.
Ruston or, I
Right.
don't know, places like that. I'd imagine that like is a major contributing factor to like how much
Extremely.
it costs.
Yes.
Cool.
Very much so.
Well, all right, y'all. We're at the end of our time. I want to be respectful of your time. Want to be respectful of Mara's time. Mara's got lots of important meetings today. Okay, peeps. So thank you so much, Mara, for sitting down,
Of
chatting with
course.
us. Y'all, we've covered a lot here today. We talked about what PPC basics, what is it? We talked about what you should be looking for in reports, what you can expect results wise. We've talked about questions that you should ask someone if you are considering hiring a person to do PPC and you yourself don't know what questions to ask or you don't know anything about PPC ads, but you should be using them. Yeah, we covered a whole gamut of things. If you want our PDF with the 7 essential PPC questions, that link is in the comments. So feel free to click on that, enter your first and last name and your email address, click download. We will get that over to you. If you're like, hey, I interviewed someone or I sat down, had an initial call with somebody, like, is this a red flag? Like, we want to help you navigate those things. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, we want everyone to make the best decision for their business and organization. Of course, we would love to have your business at Ugly Mug too, right? So if you want to schedule a call with us, shoot us a message. Visit our website, fill out our inquiry form there. But if you're just in the process of initially exploring this and you just have some other questions or need some guidance, like feel free to DM us, guys. We like fill out our like form on our website, send us a message on Facebook, send us a message on LinkedIn or on Instagram, wherever. We're more than happy to kind of help you, guide you in that process because it is a huge investment, like Mara said.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you are doing this so that you can make more money for your business, so that you can find more paying customers, more qualified leads. Like, that's the most important thing, right? So we want to help you in that process. So anything that we can do to help, drop us a line, call our office. We're more than happy to help. Thank you so much for joining us. If you tuned in for all 38 minutes of this, congratulations. If you have questions about SEO, we did mention that at the beginning. Last week, Mara and I had a conversation about the basics of SEO. You can scroll back on our YouTube or on our Facebook page, and you can find those there. LinkedIn, folks, sorry, that one was not on LinkedIn. You'll have to go to another platform to find that information. But again, thank y'all so much for being here today. If we could be a resource for you, just let us know. Just holler at us on any of our social platforms, and we would love to connect with you there. Anything else, Mara?
That's it.
All righty, y'all. We will catch you on the next one. I don't know how often we're going to be doing this coffee chat thing, but I'm having fun. So if there is another topic that you would like us to cover during our coffee chats, or if you have a question and we can have a whole 30-minute episode about that specific marketing question, tell us that, y'all. I seriously love doing this, and I want to keep it up. So more coffee for me over the next few Wednesdays. We'll catch y'all next time. Bye everyone.